Hi everyone and welcome to another video of FPL looking at game week 27. We'll have a look back at the longest game week in history, game week 26. We've still got Manchester City and West Ham left to play. And then we'll look forward towards game week 27, players to look out for the next game week and the next few game weeks, as well as just a quick ending point about the injury to Heung-min Son. And Mourinho's come out and said himself that he thinks it's unlikely that he'll play again for the rest of the season. But more on that later on. We'll have a quick look back. So we've had a good couple of game weeks. We've gone from about 1.9 million to about 1.1, 1.2 million. Of course, with Man City and West Ham still left to play, and pretty much we've all got Kevin De Bruyne, right? Unless you've been brave enough to take him out. But there's quite a few people out there with Aguero and Mahrez in their team, and that could be a big rank change coming after today. So nevertheless, 53 points with the current average being 40. And it's been a pretty decent game week so far. So the double up at the back for Liverpool still going strong. I believe it's 10 clean sheets now at the last 11. And Salah, captaincy blank. And I know a lot of people are saying good things about Mane. He came on, he scored, but he got 5 points. Robertson almost doubled that. So personally, I still think it was the right decision to get rid of Mane, and especially if you did Mane to Salah and captain Salah in a couple of games that Mane missed, you'll have made a lot more points than just keeping hold of him for a couple of points. But now if you're in a position to have that Salah Mane double up, which I've had twice this season already, and that's a pretty good place to be in. But I personally am still enjoying this double Liverpool defense, and for those of you with the triple Liverpool defense, they've had an even better game week. McCarthy, but still don't trust them too much defensively. Sheffield United, disappointing because we did trust them defensively, but Bournemouth managed to get a goal there. But still, two of the defenders, Lundstram and Egan, did manage to pick up returns in that game, so that's still a win for Sheffield United defenders. Holgate on for 1 point. He got dropped and then he came on later on, but Everton conceding anyway, so it wasn't a big loss for me. Fernandes getting, in just his second game in the Premier League, second game for me as well, getting an assist off the corners. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on. Danny Ings, lovely well-taken goal, even though he was at fault for Southampton's opener when he just let the corner float on past him. Calvert-Lewin, 11 points right at the start of this game week, and that's fantastic, and that is probably going to be his last game. And Jamie Vardy, another blank. More people worrying about the likes of Jimenez and especially Jamie Vardy, but I am still going to keep faith with him. A lot of people said about Ings, he'll definitely stop scoring. He must stop scoring. And then he didn't, and he kept on going. Same with Jamie Vardy. And now it's kind of the opposite. People said, oh, he's not going to score. People are putting up stats of, he didn't have a shot against Wolves. But the whole team against Wolves, it was a really good Wolves performance. And these guys have played, I think, 3 times this season, and it's been 0-0 3 times. It's a very, difficult game to gauge in. And it's not like Vardy was wasting chances. He was all alone. I don't think he had a bad game per se. He just, they weren't giving him the balls over the top, and he was nullified. But I still think going forward, he's still going to be a good option up there. So the transfer, I'm still holding my transfer. Usually, if you guys have seen the video before, you know that I will often do my transfers quite early to save a bit of money, but I don't have a lot of money issues at the minute. I think I've got about 2 million, 2.4 million, something like that in the bank. And I've already said from the start, when I did my wild card and brought in the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the plan was to go back to Jimenez this game week. I just haven't done it yet. And I know he's gone up to 7.8 million now, but the likely transfer is going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin out and Raul Jimenez in. And that might make people question it a little bit. They'll say, Calvert-Lewin's in great form, which he is, but I'm just not going to ignore the fixtures. I know Arsenal away and United and Chelsea and Liverpool, well, maybe not Liverpool, but certainly next day, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, they are games he could score in. But if you just look at the fixtures, Norwich, Spurs, Brighton, West Ham, Bournemouth, Villa, Raul Jimenez is having a bunch of chances still. He should have scored 1 or even possibly 2 against Leicester. And I just feel going forward, and I have watched all of the games that Calvert-Lewin has played in since I've owned him. Can be a little bit wasteful, it can sometimes be a little bit anonymous, and when I watch Raul Jimenez play, he is the talisman of Wolves, right? If they're going to score, it's likely he's going to be involved. So I think that's going to be the transfer that I'm going to make. And I'm pretty confident going forward with this team. Currently, I don't know why my vice captaincy, I think I did put it on Fernandes, but that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I said we'll talk about Fernandes later on. So let's just have a quick look at the suggestions that I made in the game week 4, game week 26. So Sergio Aguero was my pick of the week. I can't tell you anything about it because the game got postponed, but he is going to play. And, well, is he going to play? Because the problem that we're having is obviously now that's West Ham game's been pushed back to today. And Leicester game, that means that's closing out. And Champions League game as well. Is he going to play against West Ham or Leicester or both or none? We don't know. That's always the problem with Manchester City. We'll just have to wait and see for that. Danny Ings got a goal. Aubameyang, I think it was a brace. Or he got a brace of attacking returns. I'll have to just double check that. But again, Newcastle, a good performance against Newcastle's second half. They were not that good in the first half, but it seems like Pepe caught a lot of our eyes in that game. He is a possibility. Again, I'm just not that. One good home result against Newcastle doesn't make me want to jump on their assets. But, you know, if you are looking, we'll talk about Heung-min Son right at the end of this video. He's a differential with a good amount of potential, so we'll see about that. For Sheffield United, I put kind of like a middle arrow because although they did concede, 2 of the defenders returned. You know, Egan got an assist and Lundstrom got a goal. But I guess that's a cheeky one because I personally took a hit to take out Lundstrom, which I know sounds terrible. But it does feel that it felt a lot of fortune there. We took him out, we said, right, he's going to be dropped. People who played him this week surely must have thought he was dropped. I think it's a good bit of luck, but if you keep in hold of Lundstrom even now, I just think there's better options out there and seems to have lost his place. Barnes not getting a return, but it was a 0-0. But he's still definitely one to watch after this Manchester City game in game week 27. And Fernandes whipped in a lovely corner right onto slabhead Maguire's head, who took his goal. 2 nice headed goals actually for Manchester United. But it was a lovely cross, pinpoint, and had a nice free kick opportunity as well. But he is definitely one that I'm going to be looking for as we look at these players for this game week. So first up, we've got Danny Ings, 7.1 million, 30.7% owned. He took his goal really well, and he sucked up another bonus point in this game week. He is a bonus point magnet. So despite being at fault for Burnley's opening goal, the Southampton Sea of Green fixtures has got off to a good start. So they've got Villa at home next, and the amount of shots and chances they concede, it's no surprise that he is a serious captaincy option this game week. I personally, if I felt a little bit braver, finding it difficult to look past Liverpool at home to West Ham. I think a lot of people are, but he's definitely a good shout. I believe it was, again, Abubakar Sadiq who had mentioned that the amount of chances Villa conceded was the same as how many Southampton conceded when they got thumped by Leicester. And if you saw, like, for example, Engels at Villa, how many mistakes he made and how many chances Spurs had against Aston Villa, it's no surprise why we're targeting the likes of Aston Villa and some, we're still sort of targeting Norwich as well. They just concede so many chances. So definitely a captaincy option, and definitely for 7.1 million, I'd be, and with the fixtures Southampton, the run Southampton are about to go on, if we go through the list, so they do play in 28 as well. So you got Aston Villa at home, West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich in the next 4. That is a lovely run of fixtures. Next up, it's Raul Jimenez, 7.8 million now. It did go up. It was 26% owned. And I mentioned this earlier, people started to question Raul Jimenez and also Jamie Vardy in recent weeks. And yet, whilst everyone's shipping these players out, I'm definitely going to be bringing the Mexican in to go alongside Vardy. Blanks in the last 2 came against United and Leicester, but both of them were goalless draws. Yet he is still getting himself in those right positions, with Wolves creating the 5th most amount of chances in this game week, funnily enough, and they were involved in a 0-0 game. And Norwich at home for most teams in the league is a really tempting fixture. But now with the announcement of Manchester City as it stands right now, being banned for next 2 years from the Champions League, that really opens that final 1 or 2 slots. So it looks like it's going to be Liverpool, of course, and then it looks like it's going to be Leicester City. So if Manchester City are not involved in that, it's such a close race for those last 2 slots, and Wolves are definitely going to be up for that. And I really don't see the likes of Jimenez getting rested if they're going to be pushing for Champions League football. And like I said, he's getting in the positions, and he's still a fantastic player. And even if you watch the games, you can see that, you know, he's sharp, he's in and around the action when Wolves score a goal. So that's definitely following the talisman theory there. And last up for picks, Liverpool. I know it's obvious, but I've still got to, you know, mention Liverpool. They're at home to West Ham. You could pretty much argue any captaincy option from the Liverpool usual suspects, and they've all got the merits. You know, there's no, I don't think, a bad captaincy option for those normal Liverpool players that we've all got. If I were braver, I'd probably go Ings, but I'm likely going to be captaining Mo Salah this game week. But with the format the defence is in, so 10 clean sheets in 11 games, a Trent or Robbo captaincy would not be crazy either. So if Robbo's sucking at bonus points and a clean sheet and he manages to get an assist, same for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, you're looking at a really healthy captaincy return there. And also with Mane back fit and firing, that Salah-Mane versus double defence, double attack debate is all back again. I'm personally happy with double defense because a clean sheet just gets both players, you know, 6 points minimum, and you don't see Salah and Mane banging together at the same time. So I do feel as though Salah or Mane plus 2 Liverpool defenders is still the way to go going forward. Rotation, again, we don't see a lot of rotation risk going on with Liverpool, certainly until they've wrapped up this league title. But again, I'm pretty happy, and I think there's pluses for everything. There's pluses for 1 defender, 1 midfielder, 1 attacker. There's positives for 3 Liverpool defenders. There's positives for no Liverpool defenders and having 2 midfielders, you know, Salah, Mane, Firmino. There's positives for everything. I'm just personally feeling points-wise and value-wise that 2 defenders, 1 midfielder is the way to go for Liverpool. And then you can just tip the captaincy on your midfielder, or if feeling a bit brave, stick it on Robbo or Trent. And the ownership, especially for Robertson, is slightly lower than I thought. It's 20%, 20.7% for Robertson. So going on to my differential pick of the week, and I'm going to go for Fernandes. 8 million, 2.7% ownership, so it's still pretty low. I imagine it's going to rise with the injury to Heung-min Son and the fact that he returned in his second game. So it's my second week in and his second game, and it's partially paid off. So he got an assist away to Chelsea, and now the Portuguese playmaker is at home to Watford. So I've mentioned previously that I know we played deeper against Wolves, and I said, you know, with McTominay injured and Matic was suspended, when one or both of them are back with Fred, Fernandes will push forward into that, you know, playing behind the striker. And that's exactly what happened. Matic came back in, and Fernandes... Actually, what really caught my eye were his set pieces. Now, he did hit the post off a good free kick, and he whips in a really, really mean ball. Absolute accuracy from him to find Maguire, who didn't really have to move around a lot. So he whips in a hell of a corner. He's got a really nice free kick. He's on set pieces, which is always a positive as well. And some nice passing with him, creating 3 chances against Chelsea, which is the most of any player on the pitch. His decent price, low ownership, makes him an interesting option. You could also argue that Martial is still a better option as an out-of-position striker and valued at 7.9 million with 11.4% ownership. But I'm happy with Fernandes, and we could be seeing more from him. Okay, finally for the differentials, I'm going to be a little bit different here, and I'm going to actually just be looking at 3 cheap defenders for 2 reasons. So first up, it's around this time now where it seems that our low budget bench options like Kelly, Rico and Lundstrom are starting to lose their places, and 2 people are now starting to look at wild cards and or preparing for bench boosts. So here are my 3 low budget options for your sort of bench fodder / rotation options that you could switch out with the defenders that you already have. And I'll point out, first of all, Sheffield United defenders are arguably the best budget options. But the whole community, you know, Twitter, myself, we've spoken about Sheffield United a lot. So start with Sheffield United, I guess. And then these are the 3 other kind of players that maybe you have or haven't really thought about in the last few weeks. So first up, the most expensive expensive is Bolly. So 4.7 million, 2.2% ownerships, 2 games back from a long-term injury, 2 clean sheets, and 1 very, very, very unfortunate ruled out goal from VAR. Now, Wolves have Spurs in game week 28. And Arsenal at home in game week 33 and Chelsea away in 38. But the other 9 games left of the season, they look really good from a defensive point of view from Wolves. So Bolly could be in your side basically for the rest of the season. He's strong defensively and he's a real big threat in the air going up. So for me, that's an easy option for you there. Next up, I'm going to suggest Charlie Taylor, 4.2 million, 1.1% ownership, one of the cheapest defenders who still plays 90 minutes that you can find playing in FPL right now. I personally went with Lascelles a long time ago on my wildcard when he was still red flagged. And he, I think, too, is a great option. However, I feel as though Burnley are a stronger team as a whole. And with 2 clean sheets in the last 3, as well as a nice win away to Southampton. And they face Bournemouth and Newcastle in the next 2. And I do feel as though that is just a better run of fixtures, and I feel as though Burnley defensively and as a whole are a better and stronger team. So Lascelles is a good option as well. But I think Charlie Taylor playing fullback, Burnley fullbacks, the problem with them is they don't really register a lot of attacking returns because it's more like a flat back 4. But I still think he's possibly a better option than Lascelles. But I would throw Lascelles in for this one, but Charlie Taylor or Lascelles. Low ownership, good cover, good fixtures as well. And similar to Bolly, Burnley have just 3 tough fixtures in game week 29, game week 30, and game week 35. But apart from that, if you had to start Taylor in the other games, then there's a real good chance that he could pick up a clean sheet there. Finally, we're going to be looking at Kyle Walker-Peters, 4.4 million, 0.6%. Someone who I earmarked right at the start when they brought him in January. He was told he had to watch the Liverpool game to see how Southampton play, so we had to see, is he going to get into the side or not? He is playing at right wing back, but the next 4 fixtures, I mentioned it when I talked about McCarthy and my team. They've got Villa, West Ham, Newcastle and Norwich. You would be looking for some kind of clean sheet defensive return from Walker-Peters there. But we also know his attacking potential. And against teams like Villa, West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich, you would be expecting him to sort of bombing forward. And we all know that time, I think it was 3 assists he got in that game for Spurs. So that's why I'm excited about him. 4.4 million is a really cheap option and good fixtures. And again, similar to Bolly and Wolves and Taylor and Burnley, Southampton similarly have pretty good fixtures. And red difficulty wise, you've got Arsenal in game week 31, Man City in 33, Man United in 35, but the rest look really good for Southampton for the rest of the season. And again, they could be pushing for European football, the mid-table. I don't think they're going to get there, but they've got really not a lot else to play for. So the rest of the fixtures look really nice defensively for the Saints, but also you've got that attacking and assist potential of Walker-Peters. So it does make for an interesting combination as well. In my position, if I can double up on maybe McCarthy and Kyle Walker-Peters, I just don't think I trust the Southampton defense that much, but I do believe in Walker-Peters and his attacking potential. So just before we wrap up this video, so I did mention right at the start, possible Son transfers. For those of you that took the risk and took out Kevin De Bruyne and brought in Heung-min Son before any price rise after that Villa performance, I completely understand that, and it does happen. You can have people on Twitter saying, you know, see, you should always wait. This is your fault for making early transfers. I disagree. If you've got a plan and you want to beat the prices, it was a freak incident and he's broken or fractured his arm, and that's just the way it goes. Would I take another hit to take him out? I would be hoping, in my situation, I would probably just play one of my bench players because I've got 3 playing bench players right now. So I won't be taking another hit if I already took a hit, if that makes sense. But just really simple, I'll reel off a couple of names, and I'll start with the probably ones I would maybe suggest if you've got Heung-min Son. Kevin De Bruyne is obvious, but if you've likely got him or you don't want a City play, you don't trust he's going to play, then maybe Maddison or Harvey Barnes at Leicester because of the fixtures. Barnes has got a little bit better form and he's cheaper, lets you spend that money elsewhere as well. Or Fernandes or Pepe, purely for being big differentials around the same price, but they do have decent potential. You know, I did mention earlier Fernandes, his set pieces, his corners, his free kicks, and he does have a lovely pass on him. Pepe had a great game against Newcastle. He looks like he's nailed in the side. I'd be leaning less against Pepe. Again, I don't want to define a season by bumping Newcastle at home. So I would lean towards Maddison, Barnes, Fernandes over Pepe. Some names that are very popular, some players that are popular or in good form that I personally won't go towards. So first, I wouldn't go for any other Spurs assets like Moura or Ali, even though the likes of Moura could find himself playing up front now, so you could get an out of position Moura. I just don't trust Spurs, and the fixtures don't look that great either, but just for a few weeks now, for a few games, they look out of steam. They sort of run out of ideas a lot. They don't look like a particularly good side. Jack Grealish and Aston Villa are about to have a very tough, difficult fixture run. I know they've got Southampton now, but they're going to blank, and then they've got a sea of red difficulty fixtures on the FDR. Richarlison, again, he's got really great form, just like Grealish, but a really difficult fixture run. Mahrez has Pep rotation, and Sane perhaps coming back. Do you want to risk that? Having 8.5 to 8.8 million sat on your bench or worrying about that every week. Martial I still see as a decent option too. He is still an out of position striker, nailed on, and he has been getting returns, but it just does seem like he's an incredibly difficult player, a very frustrating player to watch. People think he's lazy, people think he doesn't try, people think he looks tired. So if you just can distance yourself from that, I do think Martial's a decent option, considering he is still pretty much that nailed on Manchester United striker. So that's going to be it for Game Week 27. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, maybe found it useful. Any messages or comments or points you want to put below, let me know who your captaincy is for this game week. Who would you suggest people to replace Heung-min Son for, and why? Pop that in the comments below. And I will be looking to stream hopefully again on Friday. So we'll get back to normal now when finally this long game week comes to an end. And let's see how West Ham and Manchester City do this evening. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. And as always, have a good one.